I got a visa sponsorship into the NHS without having worked there before. How did I do it? How did it happen? So if you're interested in this gist, do watch this video to the very end and subscribe to our channel if you have not done that, because I promise to tell you all of the details. Let's get started. So I have been in the UK as a dependent on a student visa, and yeah, all of the changes and all of the news has been very disheartening. Towards April this year, we decided to take to make preparations for a stay back plan. Yeah, there are different routes which you could use to stay back. The first one is to get a sponsored job, while the second one is to take a post-study visa after my husband's school is over. So the very first one was looking to get a sponsored job. So we had to sit down and look at our options. Yeah, so the first thing we did was to cut down on the current job we're doing and move to like a part-time role. So it's a lot. You know, for example, in the UK you have bills to pay. It sounds crazy when you think of it that your spouse who is a student is not allowed to work more than 24 hours in a week, and sometimes you don't even get to see a job opportunity to work up to 20 hours in a week for the student. And then the dependent who is supposed to be working like full-time and even sometimes take extra shifts if possible, is moving to part-time. So like literally, how are you going to survive? It was a difficult and hard decision, but we had to take it, and thankfully it was granted. So I started working as a part-time in my organization, and then within that period we decided to also sit down and did lots of consultations, looked at, okay, what were the strengths that I had, what do we really want to do. So it's one thing to be looking for a certificate of sponsorship to stay back, and it's another thing to be doing something that you love or you really want to do, and not just because you're looking for a certificate of sponsorship or COS. Do you get? So we looked at, okay, what are the things would I like to do? Okay, yeah, I know I have an eye for tech, IT. If I want to go into IT right now, I have prior and basic knowledge of that. How long is it going to take me? What are the time frames for it? Okay, what did I study? What are the opportunities needed? What do I want to do? Do I really want to do that? So we sat down and had all of these conversations, and then we figured out, okay, these were like the options I had. These were the things I would really love to do. I took some trainings, did some consultations, and then started making applications. I think that started like late June, then July. So when making applications, we decided that, okay, this role is available with the NHS. And I also realized that most of the sponsored jobs under the NHS start from band 3. So first of all, we started restricting our applications to specific roles, band 3. So the first thing I noticed was that I started getting interviews. Some came with like straight unfortunately, like lots of unfortunately, without even giving you the opportunity to even get to the interview. But thankfully, I remember the first day I got my first interview, like I got invited for an interview. It was like so surprising, and yeah, as if that was the actual job. Yeah, but I went for the interview, prepared, did all of the preparations, was hopeful, but I still got an unfortunately. Yeah. Then one thing I started noticing was that some of the interviews, some of the locations were like really far from me, like really far from me. I know one of those interviews I was invited for, as the time drew closer and I was preparing to go for the interview, I discovered that it's not something I can even get. Even if I wake up from my house like 5 a.m, I can't get there before the time for the interview. So I had to call them up to ask if they could do a visual interview for me. They said no. So I had to withdraw my application because it was very far. And there was one as well that I had to pay like up to like £300, yeah, going and coming. But I still got an unfortunately after the interview. In fact, when I got there that day, seeing the distance and everything, I was already discouraged that if this job does not come with a COS, if it comes to the COS, I'm still even going to think about, okay, how am I going to move and things like that. But if it does not, then what's even the point? So I was already discouraged. And yeah, so for that, I was thankful that I didn't get that one. After that happened, we now sat down to say, okay, look, we want to do this job. The first thing we need to pay attention to is applying within our city, our environment. So I started restricting my applications to locations, all right, at least places that are within my city, and then sit in cities that are not far away, that are like in the environs. And then I also discovered that most of the NHS applications, one of the basic questions they ask if you are currently or have previously worked with the NHS, and if you have currently or previously worked with their organization. So I was like, okay, I can get into the NHS from a lower role. So I started applying for lower roles within my city and also in environs. And I got 2 job offers, which were band 2. So automatically does not come with visa sponsorship. But I was willing to start with that because it was with the NHS. And it was like breaking a milestone to get like closer to what you're looking for, all right? And then one thing I noticed also was that as I kept going for all of these interviews and getting unfortunate leads, I was seeing the patterns of questions that we're asking. So I was getting more comfortable with the interviews, and I was getting more used to their style and formats, things like that, and like sort of questions to expect and okay, ways of answering them. Something happened while I was preparing to resume on one of the band 2 offers I got, especially in my city, which I was sincerely very happy about. I got an invitation for an interview. And when I checked, I was like, okay, I checked and saw that I made this particular application like in July. And the invitation for interview came like mid-October. I was like, this is very strange. So at this point, I was excited about the Bantura I was going to get. So I had to give them a call and like, first of all, can this interview be visual? Because I wasn't going to blow another money like up to £100 going and coming, and then for something that wasn't worth it. So they said they would like to see me physically. So, and I would also be required to do like some typing tests. So it has to be a physical interview. So I said, okay. Then the second question I asked was, are they going to be offering visa sponsorship for this role? So the person was like, what's that? Don't I currently have a right to work in the UK? I said, yes, I currently have a right to work in the UK, but it's going to be expiring very soon and I need to know like what to do. So the person said she doesn't know about that. She'll find out about that, but she'll advise me to just come for the interview first. I said, okay. So with that, I prayed about it, we prayed about it, and I went for the interview. And yeah, the interview went very well. The people were friendly. I think that was the highest panel of interviewers I've had since I've been going for interviews within this period, especially with the NHS. There were 3, and they had like 5 sheets of paper printed with like, I think there were up to 5 sheets of paper printed with different questions. Imagine when someone asks you a question and you're trying to answer, you've not rested from that. Somebody else is just like going to ask another question, and in your head you're wondering like, okay, what next could come? Do you understand? And that's after traveling like over like 3 hours on the road, on the trains, and those kind of experiences. Like I had very wonderful experience on that day. At the point I had to even miss my train and like try to find my way and also try to make it in time for the interview. Thankfully, it went very well. I think because they were friendly with me, it made me relaxed and made me also be able to put the question in perspective and also answer them. All right. So at the end of the interview, the lead interviewer now asked, what was that that I was saying about the visa thing that she doesn't understand, that she explained to her that they've never done that before. She has never done that before. So I explained that, okay, currently I'm on my husband's visa as a dependent and it's expiring very soon. So she was like, okay, what happens when it expires? I say it's either we get on a post-study visa or I get a work visa or any of us get a sponsored visa. So she was like, okay, she's going to find out about that and get back to me. So I went home and started praying. And to be fair, you know this thing people say, don't ask about COS, don't ask about certificate of sponsorship, because if they know you are going to ask, they will not consider you. From there, when I came back, I told my husband, even if that is the only reason they would disqualify me, it's fine, it's sincerely fine. I'm going to go and start on my new role with the band too, and then get into the system and work our way up from there. So I wasn't very expectant or hopeful about this role, but we're praying, okay? And the second thing that discouraged me was I asked, after having gone for several interviews, and one of the interviews I went for, they clearly told me that it was a hard decision for them to make, because I did really well, but they had to pick someone with like direct experience on the role, and it was only one person they were looking for. If they were looking for two people, they would have picked me. Do you get? So I had to ask these people during the interview, how many people are you looking to employ for this round? They said one. So that was another big discouragement for me that made me not to put my mind so much on it. So I just left it. And I think it was the second day or so, we're just at home. I think I was sleeping, yeah. And I got a call from them. It was the call that woke me up. I got a call, and the next thing I heard was, it's me from the interview. Do you remember? I said, yes, oh yeah. Said hello, and yeah. And then the next thing she said was, well, we have decided to offer you the role if you're happy to take it. I was like,
the Lord has done it finally.
Are you serious? Thank you very much. And then the next thing she also said was, she has confirmed and they are able to sponsor me. I was like, are you for real? Thank you. I was like thanking her, thank you very much, thank you. And she was like, no, you don't even have to thank me, you did very well at the interview, you deserved it. So that's the long and short of the story. That's how we got a job that comes with visa sponsorship, even in this time that everything is just like turning upside down in the UK. And in all, we're very grateful to God. We're sincerely very grateful to God, because I believe personally that it's a miracle, because people were praying for us, we're praying, we're trusting God, but we didn't know how it was going to come. But God did it in a way that no man can take the glory and say it's because of this, it's because of that. I know people have said they've made 100, 400, 1,000 applications on track before they were able to get their job. But in all, I made about 31 applications. I withdrew 3 of the applications. I went for about 6 interviews, and I got about 3 offers, and yeah, I got my certificate of sponsorship in one of them. So if you ask me, I would say don't stop praying, don't stop applying, just keep on applying, because some of these applications you're making, they might not be seeing it right now, and later your prayer can activate something, and out of nowhere they'll call you for it, and then you will get what you want. And these were just applications I made on track. I also made lots of applications on Indeed. I made some via their website. I made some on LinkedIn. So this is me encouraging you that you should not stop praying, you should not stop applying, and you should not stop working towards that thing that you want. So do watch out for coming videos, because I'm going to be sharing with you some of the questions that I was asked during the interview, and some of the other things I changed on my applications to make it more visible, because I wasn't getting invitations for interview from the beginning. All right, so do watch out for that. So this video is already very long, and I don't want to make it longer, so do watch out for the remaining videos. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, do well subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be sharing lots of information with you in the coming days. See you again in my next video. Bye bye.